World War II witnessed the rise and fall of powerful leaders, but none were as notorious as Heinrich Himmler, the architect of the Holocaust and one of Hitler's closest confidants. In May 1945, as the Allied forces closed in on Germany, a shocking turn of events occurred when Himmler was captured by former Soviet prisoners. This marked the beginning of the end for the man who once wielded immense power within the Third Reich. In this exploration, we will delve into the final weeks of Heinrich Himmler, from his erratic behavior to his failed attempts at negotiating peace with the Allies. Join us as we uncover the intriguing story of Himmler's downfall and ultimate demise, the importance of Heinrich Himmler in the Third Reich. Heinrich Himmler's significance within the Third Reich cannot be overstated. He began his ascent to power when he was appointed as the Reichsführer SS in 1929, a position that granted him control over the Schutzstaffel, or known as SS and later, the entire Nazi security apparatus. Under Himmler's guidance, the SS, initially a small battalion of just 290 men, rapidly expanded into a formidable force, numbering in the thousands. However, Himmler's influence extended beyond the SS. He was a key figure in the Nazi Party from its inception, and continued to wield considerable authority even as the war raged on. As the head of the SS, Himmler oversaw the establishment and operation of concentration camps, making him directly responsible for the Holocaust and the mass murder of millions. Simultaneously, he played a prominent role in the military campaigns on the Eastern Front, where he directed the SS forces in collaboration with the Wehrmacht. His organizational skills and unwavering loyalty to Hitler made him a trusted confidant of the Führer. Himmler's dual leadership roles in the SS and the military campaigns made him a linchpin in the Nazi war machine, and his actions had far-reaching and devastating consequences. Himmler's misguided mission. In a desperate bid to defend Nazi Germany against the relentless Soviet advance, Heinrich Himmler was appointed as the commander-in-chief of Army Group Vistula in early 1945. This appointment marked a pivotal moment in Himmler's career as it placed him in charge of a critical military operation during the waning months of World War II. However, it quickly became apparent that Himmler was ill-suited for such a role. Unlike seasoned military commanders, he lacked the requisite experience and strategic acumen to lead an army group effectively. His previous successes as the Reichsführer SS did not translate well into the battlefield command he was now tasked with. Undeterred by his shortcomings, Himmler established his command center at Schneidermühl. Yet this headquarters was far from adequately equipped for the mission at hand. The train he used as his mobile headquarters, the Sonderzug Führerhauptquartier Asien, was woefully ill-prepared for military command. It possessed only a rudimentary telephone line, lacked proper maps, and had no radio equipment for communication with the front lines. Moreover, Himmler's disinterest in the responsibilities of leadership became increasingly evident. He exhibited a lack of commitment to his role, working a mere 4 hours a day, often starting only after a morning massage, followed by lunch and an extended nap. This apathetic approach to command would have dire consequences for the German army on the Eastern Front as it struggled to hold back the Soviet tide. Himmler's erratic behavior. As the war entered its final stages, Heinrich Himmler's behavior underwent a remarkable transformation. This period witnessed a stark departure from his earlier dedication and fervor for the Nazi cause. His actions and decisions in these critical weeks painted a portrait of an increasingly erratic and disconnected leader. One of the most telling signs of Himmler's declining commitment was his abbreviated work hours. In stark contrast to the relentless dedication he once displayed, he now limited his work to just 4 hours a day. This limited work schedule was further punctuated by his penchant for leisure, commencing his day only after receiving a morning massage. Such behavior stood in stark contrast to the urgency of the situation on the Eastern Front. Himmler's daily routines were indicative of his detachment from the dire circumstances facing Nazi Germany. His insistence on leisurely lunches and lengthy naps during these critical weeks illustrated a concerning lack of focus and commitment to his responsibilities as a wartime leader. Perhaps the most damning aspect of Himmler's behavior during this period was his clandestine negotiations for peace with the Allies. Without Hitler's knowledge or approval, he engaged in discussions aimed at securing a belated peace agreement. This treacherous act not only demonstrated his growing doubts about the prospects of Nazi victory, but also marked him as a traitor in the eyes of Hitler and the Nazi leadership. The final meetings with Hitler. Heinrich Himmler's outward display of loyalty to Adolf Hitler during their last encounters masked the treacherous negotiations he was undertaking behind the scenes. These meetings marked a critical turning point in the relationship between the two men and ultimately sealed Himmler's fate. Despite growing doubts about Nazi Germany's chances of survival, Himmler continued to publicly swear allegiance to Hitler. In their final meetings, including the one held on April 20, 1945, at the Reich Chancellery in Berlin to celebrate Hitler's birthday, Himmler maintained a facade of unwavering loyalty. This act of feigned allegiance was designed to deceive Hitler and the Nazi leadership while he pursued his clandestine agenda. Behind Hitler's back, Himmler engaged in secret negotiations for the liberation of several concentration camps. In meetings with Norbert Masur, the Swedish representative of the World Jewish Congress, Himmler made astonishing claims, downplaying the extent of the Holocaust and the use of gas chambers. He sought to secure his own safety and distance himself from the atrocities committed under his command. However, these negotiations would prove to be Himmler's undoing. Hitler, upon learning of Himmler's betrayal and peace overtures to the Allies, declared him a traitor and expelled him from the Nazi Party. The once seemingly unbreakable bond between the two men shattered. Himmler's desperate escape. As the noose tightened around Nazi Germany in the waning days of World War II, Heinrich Himmler found himself in a desperate bid to evade capture by the advancing Allies. His actions during this period revealed the extent of his fear and desperation. To avoid detection, Himmler resorted to radical changes in his appearance. He shaved off his distinctive mustache, removed his glasses, and even went as far as shaving his head. To further obscure his identity, he donned an eye patch, creating a disguise that was meant to render him unrecognizable. In a brazen move, Himmler, along with a small group of German soldiers, attempted a desperate escape from Flensburg in northern Germany. Clad in military police uniforms, they sought to flee to the south in the hope of eluding the approaching Allied forces. Their escape plan, however, was short-lived. Just 2 days after their escape attempt, Himmler and his companions were detained by a group of former Soviet prisoners of war. Among these prisoners, one individual, likely a major in the Soviet army, negotiated with Himmler to verify his identity. During this process, the examining doctor noticed a black object in Himmler's lower jaw. Attempting to remove the mysterious object, the doctor inadvertently triggered Himmler's final act. Himmler bit into a hidden cyanide capsule, ending his life within seconds. Despite immediate efforts at resuscitation, there was no saving him. The tragic end. Heinrich Himmler's true identity was unveiled during his detention, a moment of shock and disbelief for those who had captured him. This man, initially known as Sergeant Heinrich Hitzinger, was none other than the infamous Reichsfuhrer SS, one of the most powerful figures of the Nazi regime. However, rather than facing justice for his heinous crimes, Himmler chose a dark path. As he underwent routine testing to confirm his identity, a doctor noticed a foreign object in his mouth. Himmler's response was swift and final. He bit into a concealed cyanide capsule. Within moments, he succumbed to the deadly poison, ending his own life. The circumstances surrounding Himmler's death have been clouded by controversy. In this tragic end, Himmler's evasion of justice left unanswered questions about the extent of his crimes and the true nature of his final moments. Heinrich Himmler's dramatic downfall and ultimate suicide marked the end of an era in Nazi Germany. His capture and the events leading up to it revealed the disarray and desperation of the Third Reich's leadership in its final days. If you found this exploration of history intriguing, stay tuned for more captivating stories about pivotal moments in military history. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to continue discovering the events that left their indelible mark on the world.